A man goes to a restaurant and orders a chicken dish. Just as his meal arrives and he's about to dig in, the waiter rushes back and says, "I'm terribly sorry, sir, but there's been a mistake. That police officer at the next table is one of our regulars, and he always orders the chicken. Unfortunately, that was the last one we had. I'm afraid I'll have to take this dish to him and get you something else." The man, understandably upset, refuses to give up his meal. The waiter goes over and explains the situation to the officer. A few moments later, the officer walks over to the man's table and says sternly, "Look, that's my chicken you're about to eat. And let me be clear, whatever you do to that chicken, I'll do the same to you. You pull off a leg, I'll pull off one of yours. Break a wing, I'll break your arm." The man looks down at the chicken, then slowly sticks his middle finger up the chicken's rear end, pulls it out, licks it, stands up, drops his pants, bends over, and says, "Your move, officer." 3 nurses were working a late shift at the morgue when they entered a room and discovered a deceased man lying on the table with a hard-on. The first nurse raised an eyebrow and said, "Well, I've never seen that before. Seems like a shame to let it go to waste." She sat and wrote it. The second nurse, not wanting to miss out, followed suit. The third nurse hesitated and said, "I can't, I'm on my period." But after some coaxing from the others, she eventually wrote it. A few minutes later, to their shock, the man suddenly sat up. Startled, the nurses shouted, "You were dead just a minute ago." The man grinned and said, "Yeah, I was. But after 2 jump starts and a blood transfusion, I feel alive." Roger was a hard-working guy who spent most of his evenings either bowling or playing volleyball. One weekend, his wife decided he needed a break from all the activity and suggested a night out at a strip club, just to loosen up and try something new. As they entered the club, the doorman greeted them and said, "Hey, Roger, how's it going tonight?" His wife shot him a look. "You've been here before?" No, Roger stammered. "He's just a guy from the bowling league." They sat down and a waitress came over, smiling. "Hey, Roger, gin and tonic as usual?" Now his wife's eyes widened. "You must come here a lot." "Not at all," Roger insisted. "She plays in the same volleyball league." Then a dancer walked up, wrapped her arms around Roger and said, "Ready for your usual table dance, Roger?" That was the last straw. His wife grabbed her purse and stormed out of the club. Roger chased after her and saw her getting into a cab. He jumped into the passenger seat beside her, trying to explain himself. Before he could say a word, the furious wife turned to glare at him. That's when the cab driver glanced back and said, "Damn, Roger, looks like you picked up a real bitch tonight." 3 women were sitting together chatting about their husband's performance in bed. The first one says, "My husband's a marriage counselor. He's so romantic. Always brings me flowers and chocolate before we make love. I really enjoy that." The second woman says, "Mine's a motorcycle mechanic. He's rough, sometimes a little wild, even gives me a playful slap here and there. Honestly, I kind of like it." The third woman sighs and says, "My husband works for Microsoft. He just sits on the edge of the bed and keeps telling me how amazing it's going to be once I finally get it."